everyone, welcome to the Fit of Fuzz podcast, episode number 65. We got it right this week. We got it right.
65. God.
What's happening, mate? How are you?
65 episodes in, mate. That's usually the number people retire at, 65.
We're smashing it, man. I got I've roped in a new listener from the gym, and she started right from the very start. And I seen her yesterday, and she's like, "I'm on episode 6," and I'm like, "Oh, what a fucking ride you're in for."
It's the first time you've ever told somebody they're in for a good ride.
So it's good. It's good, mate. But 65 is a biggie, man. That's been what about a year and a quarter, maybe close to a year and a half since we started.
Year and a half, yeah. I think we started, October 2023? Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, you had to sing it as well, just to be sure.
I think I've woke up, but my wee voice hasn't woke up yet. I've just cracked a can of
Aye,
Monster, so hopefully that
aye.
kicks in.
I feel the same, mate. I feel the same. So, what's been happening in the world of Kyle this week? Talk me through it.
Nothing. It's been a nice, solid week of nothingness.
Excellent.
I've just been. I'm going to be honest. It's been a week of chilling out. I've not had a week off. I've done the bare minimum, and I'm actually. It's been a week that I've not had in a long, long time. So I feel like a new man from it.
Man.
Yeah. What about you?
Uh, I wish I was saying the same, mate, but mine has been um, full on in a good way. You know what I mean? It's just been up in the morning, getting shit done, bed at night, doing the same again next day. Although I did something on, I think it was Wednesday, that I've not done, Thursday, that I've not done in a very, very long time.
Were you Pokemon wank, was it?
A wee pokey bum wank, mate. It was magical. I took a lunch break, mate. I literally took like 2 hours and cooked my lunch, made dinner for that night, got better, walked to the park. I know that might not sound like much, but holy fuck, man, it was unbelievable. Just that 2 hours of me time. Felt like a new man after it.
I like how we've gone from taking no lunch break to going. I'm taking 2 hours. I'm taking a double.
2 hours. I,
Double.
I took I took my week's worth of lunch breaks in one day.
It's funny because Kira asked me to. Well, me and Kira had to chat about me putting a diary together, like as in like my Google Calendar, and actually putting in me time first. I was like, I've sorted this out. I've done it. It's no problem. Sent it over, and she's like, "Where's your lunch breaks?" And I was like, "What's a lunch break, mate? I don't have lunch breaks."
But I know it's mad it's mad that we're talking about this because a lunch break and switching off from work during your lunch break is something that I push on my clients. When you've got that half an hour, however long you get from your work to break off for lunch, like it's important that you take that for you. So many times, like I've been guilty of myself in the past, fucking guilty just now, but so many times you're on your lunch break and all you're doing is you're worrying about what work you've got left for when you go back to work. You're worrying about how much shit you've still got left to do for that day, and actually you end up going back to work more stressed rather than refueled and ready to go again. And your lunch break just disappears in the blink of an eye because you've spent the majority of it stressed to fuck. So it's important that you do switch off and take that time for you. And if you're not getting paid for your lunch break, then you should not be thinking about work at all.
That used to do my nutting. Like, see when people didn't pay you for your lunch break, but they expected you to work through it. I'm like, what?
Aye.
Doing unpaid labour for you, mate? Like, is that what's happening?
Eh, oh my God, Rachel's got this going on with her work at the minute, and it's now just expected. Like she gets an hour and a half lunch break, 12:30 to 2 o'clock, because she works in a dentist, right? So they close for an hour and a half in the afternoon. But she'll not get a lunch break till like 1 o'clock. So that's half an hour of free labour,
Yeah.
which is expected every single day. I'm like, I racked up all the free labour and stuff that she's done. It's about $1,000 a year, $1,000 worth of free labour, and I'm like, you're owed that money.
Do you know what? It's funny because it wouldn't work the other way. It's not like if she finishes at 6 normally, like she can just start walking out at 5:30 and going out, see you later. Like, if
Exactly.
they'll be like, no, it's our time, we pay you to work that time. It's like, well, how's it work the other way?
100%, mate. 100%. But aye, it's just this kind of uh, what do you call it? This kind of sense of authority. Like, well, I'm paying you for X amount of hours today, so you're expected to work X amount of hours for free.
we used to have an absolute fuck nugget of a guy who came in when I worked in power, when I worked in a supplement shop in Glasgow. The way he came in, and you know that way that like a new manager tries to stamp their authority on it, and they were like, right, from now on, you're no longer starting at 9. Everybody's coming in at 8:45, and I was like,
Aye.
am I getting paid from 8:45? No, 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 but yeah, we want everybody there from 8:45 as a team brief, so we can get working from 9. Now that caused a bit of friction with me because I was started PTing at the time, and I'm like, sure, I've got clients at like I think it was 6:30 and 7:30, so I'm like, I'm not finishing until 8:30. Like I've not got enough time to get from the gym at 8:30 to there in 15 minutes. It's going to take me half an hour. I'd get there just before 9. He's like, no, no, you're going to have to move things around. Tell you what, mate, I was buzzing because within 6 days of him saying it, I was turning up at 1:45, and one of the days the place wasn't open at 1:45. The guy who was meant to be there had slept in or whatever it was. I just sent a photo going, it's breaking my back to get here at 1:45, and there's not even anybody here. I was like, I'll be in at 9. Like,
And then that was at 9 for then on.
well, I lasted longer than he did in the place, which probably tells you all you need to know. But,
I don't like people like that. Just fucking dicks that just come in, try and stamp their authority straight away, and end up just getting bitch slapped back out the door.
you can always tell it, mate. The ones that like have to do these things to try and make it sound like they're managers are no real managers.
Aye.
Like Game of Thrones thing, it's like the person who has to say they're king is no king.
Quite right.
I've never even watched Game of Thrones, mate. Never even seen it, but I heard the quote and I was like, I like that.
Have you actually never seen it?
I've seen the first series 3 times and I couldn't get into it. And then I watched the last 3 seasons. I actually got into it when it was on live. The last maybe season 5. I was like, I'm not going back to watch because now I know everybody who's dead because I'm clearly not here anymore. I've seen the first series. I've now seen the 5th, and I've put it together that you're not in it anymore, so you're dead. So I'm not going back to watch that. But I was enjoying the 5th season. I think there's maybe 7, 8, whatever. So I watched series 5, series 6. I was like, this is quite good. And then the last series was absolutely abysmal. So I'm like, it started off shite in my opinion. It ended shite in my opinion. There must have been a couple of good series in between because I quite liked it at that point. But then I'm like, nah,
Aye. The first season was a lot of incest and shit, man. I don't know what was going on in the first season. But it did get really good.
yeah. Yeah, I was going to say the incest probably just reminded me of certain areas of Glasgow I'd been.
Most notably the East End.
Yeah, we'll move on very, very quickly. We've got a golden topic this week, and I think both of us are going to complete. We brainstormed together, which again took us a bit of time. But I think we're both going to admit, like, we're probably not experts in the field that we're going to talk about today, but it's definitely a worthwhile topic to talk about. We're going to talk about devices and trackability. Going to probably start with Gary, mate. What do you track in terms of like? Do you track like sleep? Do you track steps? What do you track?
Right now, food and steps is all I'm tracking at the minute. I only have a wee Fitbit Versa. It's fucking years old. So I don't really track my heart rate. I'm not overly concerned about my heart rate. Sleep, it is something that I've had a look at before. But again, it's not something that I'm overly concerned about, and there's a reason for that because I will get really obsessed with it. And if my watch tells me that I've had a shite sleep, I will feel like I've had a shite sleep. So I go based off of how I feel when I wake up. What about you? What do you track?
I do track everything. Well, say everything. I track sleep, I track HRV, VO2 max, rest and heart rate, stress, steps, food. But what I was going to say, I've got a lot of thoughts. I've done that for years, and I've done it on several different devices. So like, I do love a bit of data, but I'd be and always have been. See, when it comes to sleep in particular, I've noticed that there is an obsession with me with sleep, and there's studies to prove it. Like if you like, I always say this to anybody that comes on board. I'm sure you're probably the same, but like, I would always rate your sleep first, as in like, if you've had 7 hours of sleep and you feel class, like again, rate it an 8 or 9 out of 10. But the thing is, see if you look at your watch and it actually says, you know what, you've actually only slept for 5.5 hours, and you're underslept, you're automatically going to feel tired. There's actually been studies done where they've had people who have done sleep studies and they've given them false data on their sleep, and it's actually noticeably when they self-reported it after it, they feel more tired after they've been told they should be tired. So there are things to look out for. And, like, we've put a wee bit of data together towards all of the things that you should look out for. Now, like anything, there's a caveat. This, when we talk about it, we are not experts in this field. We have went and done a bit of research ourselves, but what we say is the research we've found. You go and do your own fucking research. Like anything else that you hear on the internet, go and do your own fucking research and don't come at us. If you've got an opinion, come at us. Come at us, but we'll probably shite it because we don't really have too much to go back on. We'll just be like, oh, we found a study. And that's what it said.
He's literally just turned into Eddie Abu there.
Well, Eddie Abu doesn't actually. Well, sorry, he does tell you to do your own research, but like Eddie Abu just throws out facts anyway.
Wow, aye. Well, what he perceives to be facts, shall we say?
Facts, bro.
Facts, bro. Go and do your own fucking research.
It's actually. Do you know what? See, when you say about like steps and stuff, you use Fitbit Versa. I've used a Samsung Galaxy. I've used an Apple Watch. I've used a Whoop Band, and I used something else at some point. I can't remember what it was. Garmin, maybe. I definitely have found that my step accuracy in all of them is quite significantly different. Actually, like I'm
Yeah.
talking, if I average somewhere between 10 and 14k most days, like that's really where I fall between. One of them can say that I've done 8,000 and one of them can say that I've done 16,000. I do tend to find that my Samsung Galaxy, when I had it, told me I was doing more steps than what my Apple Watch did, because I do the same loop every day with Rocky. Like, you know, I used to be all about the 4,000 steps before 9 o'clock, so I knew the exact route to get 4,000 steps. Shock horror, when I had my Apple Watch, it was like, you've done 3,100. I was like, what? How am I getting taxed, mate? Is this Apple tax that's coming through? What, 900 steps less? It's quite a big shortfall on that. So, you've only ever used the kind of Fitbit, haven't you? You've not.
Always Fitbit for me, mainly because it is affordable for it. Well, it was for my price range back in the day, and I've just never changed it really. But I did see I think it was a YouTube video, and a guy done a study, and he literally wore all the watches on one arm
I
to see what the step count was, and I believe the Garmin was the most accurate out of them all.
believe
Uh,
that. Yeah.
but I mean, there's so many variables when it comes to step count. Like your stride length comes into play, which nobody takes into consideration anymore. What wrist you're wearing it on, how quick you're walking, how slow you're walking. If you're walking really slow, then sometimes the step count can actually get missed. Because they use like a little kind of sensor thing that detects motion and is elevated kind of heart rate.
Yeah.
So if you're walking really slow and it's not detecting any motion and your heart rate's not increasing any, then you're not counting your steps. So it could be inaccurate both ways. You know, it could be telling you you're getting too much. It could be telling you you're not getting enough. But yeah, it's always just been Fitbit for me.
Mate, so wait till you start pushing a pram. The level of frustration you're going to get.
Oh, yeah. Here's a wee tip for this one. Put it on your ankle.
I've considered putting it on Rocky beside me, just stealing his steps.
What?
Um,
I done 25,000 steps in that 3K walk.
yeah, mate, I'll tell you what, sometimes I just forget because it's just that way. I'm like, I've only got, say it's 40 minutes. I'm like, right, I'm going to go out the walk and only do 4K steps, even though my Apple Watch says 3,100. I'll come back and sometimes it's saying I've done 1,900. I'm like, how? So yeah, I think when we've put together some of the bullet points here, where the most accurate is if you're walking at a steady pace. Most do a pretty decent job of tracking steps when you're kind of walking or running normally. More on the wrist tends to be the most accurate because wrist brace trackers use accelerometers and sometimes gyroscopes. Don't know if I'm saying that, gyroscopes. That word, to detect arm swings and movement patterns. And then when they work the most is when they're calibrated properly. So devices that let you input stride length, height, and walking speed, or learn it over time. I think actually what's quite good with that, Whoop bands. I believe that the first month of the Whoop band, I felt this as well. I was like, the data's not really that great, but I actually see after the first month, I'm like, that's pretty spot on with most things. Like it's sleep and everything alongside it. So I think that accurately calibrates itself pretty well, but I wouldn't be able to tell you how effective devices are. I would well imagine Garmin's do because any client I've ever had that has a Garmin tends to be like it seems fairly accurate for what they're doing.
Mm.
And yeah, I've used one for a point, but I'm talking 10 years ago, so it's hard to know exactly what it's like nowadays. But yeah, it was pretty decent then. Um, Struggle most in terms of accuracy when non-arm movements like pushing like pram, hands in pockets, carrying groceries, things that throw your step count off because you're not swinging your arms. So it does rely on swinging your arms a wee bit.
Yeah.
Short distances like walking around the house. So again, if you're walking really slow or like you're just again strolling around the house, sometimes it might not pick it up as sustained steps. And then non-walking movements can sometimes be counted as steps. So as in like you're brushing your teeth, you're cooking. I'll leave the rest to your imagination, whatever you're doing with your arms and your wrist. But
Rachel's mum used to go and do the dishes to get her step count up.
but
Just quickly before you move on as well, just touching on the calibration side of things. I tried to calibrate my Fitbit, right? And basically what you had to do was measure out a 20, it was either 20 or 30 meters range, and then count how many steps you did within that 20 or 30 meters.
oh, fuck.
But I found my what?
I know what you're about to say, but go for it. Oh fuck, yeah, go on.
I found myself taking bigger steps.
Yeah, yeah. It it's funny because the moment you know that you're being analysed, you'll start to change things. You'll
Yeah.
start to think you need to do things differently. You need to do it naturally. Yeah,
So hard to do it actually though, because I was like, right, I done it in the gym, counted it to kind of 20, I think it was 20. I'm going to go 20. Counted it to 20 meters, and then I ended up taking like 20 big steps.
yeah.
And I'm like, I don't walk like this, and I couldn't fucking get it. So I the calibration side of things as well. See if you can get a device that automatically picks up movement patterns and stuff and actually calibrates itself to you. That would probably be more beneficial and more accurate than you trying to calibrate it yourself because uh honestly, it was just such a bizarre experience. I knew I was doing it, and I'm like, why can I not fucking stop this?
I was like, I was thinking about maybe dropping this one in at the end because I actually haven't shared this one with you. I woke up really early this morning and went down a rabbit hole of looking into it. But do you know what? There's two things about wearing your smart device that is actually quite worrying. That I was like, oh fuck! Actually, it made me think twice or three times about wearing one full stop, and that's how much I love my data, my steps. But the first one is, do you know who owns your data?
No, I absolutely have no idea.
Well, that's the thing. So typically in most European or US countries, it's owned by, I think we have GDPR that covers Europe. I think America have their own thingy majiggy. But the problem is when most of the devices, like I think Apple Health and like even the likes of Whoop and stuff, I'm just name dropping, like I don't know for a fact, but there's a lot of them that have in their whatever that they're third party and they can they can essentially pass on
Yeah.
their data to third parties. So a lot of what's happening is actually like when they're taking your like fitness, your health, your whatever, they're sending them on to insurance companies and they're sending them on to whatever because data is now the biggest. Like the don't know if you ever watched that documentary, but the price of data is now actually worth higher than what gold is on the market. So like there's companies that are buying your data to find out how fit you are and to find out how much you're moving. There's insurance companies that can target you with ads and everything else. Like I really hope it doesn't get to the point where it's like people are like physically getting like refused health insurance because apparently they're not healthy enough or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, well, on one hand, that's a bit maddening. The second part to it, I've actually wrote a wee bit down about this. I didn't send this on to you, but health risks of using it. I've always kind of thought this, but never actually like sat and wrote it down. But it's called EMF, which is electromagnetic field radiation. So there's no long-term studies done on EMF exposure. Whilst there's safe limits short-term, considering like we're now wearing devices all the time, like I'd say year-round, there's like I don't think I've taken my Whoop band off in 3 years. Like genuinely, it's designed to be charged on your wrist. Like it's not been tested on having like exposure on that long term, and it is a form of radiation. Like radiation chronically can't be a good thing, no matter how low that is. So there is that. Like there's probably the two actual worrying points that I hadn't really thought about is data getting sent on to different places, and then also probably the more dangerous one or more serious one is the health risks involved with it.
Aye. Do you remember? I don't know if you would remember it, but do you remember years and years ago that guys got told not to have their phone in them, their phones in their pockets because of the radiation, and
I think we've done studies on that though. That's true. Like it does kill your it kills your sperm count as well. Yeah.
that's fucking mental, isn't it? Like that is absolutely bonkers. And then yeah, you're right about the devices. Like there yesterday, I had my phone, both phones in my pockets and earphones in my head. Do you know what I mean? Communicating with each other, sending these signals to each other, radiation going off its nut.
Well, that's it. That's actually one of the things I've wrote down there is devices constantly communicating with other devices, like your phone in the cloud. It's just constantly sending signals, but like that's as much as it might look invisible to the eye. Like there's things that are constantly moving and literally vibrating, radiating. Like it cause it can't be good for you long term. I, I'd love to know if some of going into my wee tinfoil hat stage here, but I would love to know if some of that is linked to like anxiety and stuff and not being able
Yeah.
to like switch down because your body's constantly like being aware of things happening around you. I certainly found on my phone, like my watch, sorry, I need to put my watch on Do Not Disturb quite a lot because I'm like, see, just the vibration of that, like completely different topic here, but like the vibration of it and just constantly looking at it, like it gives me the absolute fear.
That's like that's you. Let's say you're no kind of on social media and stuff like that. That's you looking for your wee dopamine hits some other way, or it could be because you know you've got a notification and your mind doesn't settle until you see what that notification is.
Yeah, it is, but do you know what it actually is? It's a pattern disrupt as well, which isn't a good thing because you can only focus. Like I remember Adam Haley, one of the mentorships I was on before, he used to he done like a webinar on this, but it's like he's talking about your concentration span. It's like when you have a concentration span, your body's actually really good at like your mind's really good at actually switching on to something. But the problem is when you have these little distractions you don't think about during the day, like literally can just be I'll go to send a check in to somebody and when I go and do that, I open up WhatsApp, and when I open up WhatsApp, I
Yeah.
see 27 messages, and I might get caught in something else, and then it only might take me 2 minutes to get back to it. But the problem is, I've then completely forgot about the context of what I wanted to follow up with,
Yeah.
and then that then bleeds into the next part of it, which I might actually remember that when I'm doing the next task that I'm doing, and it's like I've got all these little open loops of things where it's just like it should be done in a sustained period of time. But he's a massive advocate of like even when it comes to like WhatsApp or client messages, and I know I'm speaking in a business point of view right now rather than like general public, but it's like talking about doing it in blocks where you only do client messages at this time and you only do whatever because of that disrupt. So if you're again for people who don't work in coaching businesses, if you're at work and like you find that you're really difficult to concentrate on things, I guarantee you, if you probably take a wee step back and realize how many distractions are happening to you, maybe putting your phone away for a wee bit. I'm not want to sound like your boss here, but like maybe putting your phone away for a wee bit and turning do not, or at least turn do not disturb mode on, so at least you're doing it on your terms rather than having to get distracted by a group
Yeah.
chat with 10 pictures of don't know the football team with the manager on a leash or something.
Aye. Aye. We moved our online community over to WhatsApp. I think at the start of February-ish. And there's 7 different communities within the actual 12x community itself. You've got the live session links, main community, food help, I need like exercise chat, blah blah blah. The amount of people that messaged us and said, "Get me out of this group," because there was so many messages happening that they were struggling to keep up. Now, you didn't have to keep up. You don't have to keep up. I don't even keep up with all the messages in there, and I'm one of the fucking coaches, right? I only dip in and out when I either get tagged on something, I need to make a post myself, or somebody, something of interest kind of stands out to me. But the way the way some people's heads work is it's almost like a fear of missing out. You've got that kind of FOMO, what's happening, I need to know everything that's happening. And it was just getting completely overwhelming to the point that everybody's anxiety seemed to increase, especially in the first week of having those WhatsApp communities. It's a lot better now because people have now trained themselves over time to dip in and out on their terms, to dip in and out when they want to dip in and out. But see, at the start, it was absolute chaos. People were going nuts. People were coming out of work and they were having 300 messages on their phone and they were getting pissed off and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And it's just, aye, it was pretty nuts. Do things on your terms, especially when it comes to your phone, especially when it comes to social media messaging. I've got an absolute cheek to be telling anybody to do that, but I am getting better at it. I am getting better at it.
I think you've got a cheek, mate. You're just looking at it from the other side of the curtain, really.
I true, true.
Yeah, mate, I completely agree. I'd be the same. I've too many group chats, too many sort of stuff going on. It's hard though. I do not like. I think there was, for me, I talked about this already, but there was a documentary on the other day about parents talking about their children's exposure to social media, and they're like, we actually struggle with not being on our phones, so it's very difficult to tell like children not to be on their phones. It is something we have to learn to live with. I think we're probably past the point we need to kid on that a phone is just something you contact people on, like as in an actual phone. It's probably the least of its functions now.
Mm.
It is something that we do incorporate and we do need to move along with the times. It's got to be something we need to use. But again, sure, this podcast at the moment needs to stick on the trail of data and wearables. So, getting back to it, data and like where devices can be a good thing. Gamification, like gamifying something like really works. I know that you're actually quite a big advocate of doing this type of stuff yourself, but like
Mhm.
in terms of looking at points, levels, badges, like challenge taps. I did like as human beings, we fucking love a wee bit of challenge on that. So it's quite good for like initially creating that habit. Like if you look at daily streaks and stuff, I know that you guys, what you've talked about anyway, like you have like again doing things consistently and like people building up these habit streaks and like
Mhm.
routines and stuff. And I've certainly got people my side too. Like I've generally got people who message me going, on a 50-day step streak and stuff like that. So like I can see how much that can cause like again short term change, like leaderboards, group challenges, all of that. And I think from a device point of view, that can help. But on the flip side of that, like long term motivation will fade.
Yeah.
Like the having a 50-day step streak or constantly getting those little dopamine and notifications probably has less of an impact a year and a half into it than it does in the first kind of 30 to 90 days. um, it could become repetitive. Like, I mean, it's probably less exciting getting you've done 10,000 steps again when you're doing that like in the depths of February after doing it for a year. And then yeah, it's not really personal to you. So and sometimes if you break that streak, it can do the opposite, where it's like all of a sudden it's like boom, things are different now. So there's pros and cons. What's your opinion on kind of the gamification of it?
Oh, mate, that when you break a streak. Oh, honestly, motivation goes right out the window. Willpower, right out the window. I fucked it. I'll start again on Monday. Nah, it doesn't. It has happened to me a few times. I've been really on it. I'm like, I'm going to get a new streak. Let's say maybe when I was coaching with you, I had a step streak of 21 days. We'll say 3 weeks, right? I'm like, right, I'm going to beat it. Going to beat it this time. Bang! I'll be 14 days in. Fuck! I need to start again. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, whilst it is, in my opinion, I love gamification, and it does work wonders for keeping people switched on. It can also have that kind of negative impact on the other side of it when things do start to get really repetitive. So I believe if you can gamify it to get you up and running, and then as the days, weeks, months go on, maybe shift your target, shift your challenges. Obviously, don't shift your goals if you're working towards something specifically, but just try and gamify it differently. Now, I don't even have any examples off the top of my head this morning, but rather than it just being constantly, I just need a new streak, I need a new streak, I need a new streak. Um, in fact, I do have a good example. So for my online group, we were about 6 weeks into the current 12-week program, and that's usually we've found a trend that's usually when the motivation starts to take a big dip because the first 4 weeks everybody's buzzing. They're like, "Oh, amazing! I'm seeing progress." The community is absolutely buzzing. Then 5, 6 weeks in, that's when the motivation starts to dip. That's when the weight loss starts to slow down a wee bit. People start to get demotivated slightly. So I put myself on the line. I don't know if I spoke about this on the podcast already, but I put myself on the line. So I basically made a game for a week to get everybody's motivation back up. There was a point system for steps, protein, fiber, water, activity levels, exercise, and they were all 50, 57, 58 people against me, right? Whoever beat me got to choose a forfeit for me.
So you had
By
56 forfeits to do, did you?
oh, I fucking smashed it, mate. By fuck did that get people up. And they were doing the same thing. So they were getting their steps, they were hitting their protein. All I'd done was add a different point system, and it can rejigged the thought process behind it because I put myself on the line. They were like, right, we need to beat coach, we need to beat coach, we need to beat the coach. So doing something like that was enough to get them bang right back up. And then that was it. The momentum was built off the back of that again for another 5, 6 weeks. Do you know what I mean?
You've got the wee brain cells in me tingling there. I'm like, might do that next week. Might put it in the group.
Mate, it was fat. Honestly, it was so good. And I was in the gym at 7 in the morning. I'm like, what the fuck? Just to get a gym session in so I could get another point.
I'm got Shannon doesn't know it yet, but I might actually put her on the line as well. So
Yes.
yeah, Shannon's going to have a fire under her arse or some forfeits to do next week. That's what
Brilliant.
it's going to be. I like
There you
that,
go, mate.
to be fair, but again, it does bleed into it. I think when it comes to like certainly human nature, we like challenges. Like, well, the majority is like challenges anyway.
Yeah.
I think just to go on that, like, I think sometimes it definitely helps short term adherence. Long term, again, it's possibly where it loses a little bit of its like effect, like anything though. And then I think when we talk about probably the negative side of like health wearables is the fact that like you can very much become like it can cause anxiety alongside it.
Yeah.
So if you're constantly checking targets and you're constantly checking data, and again, if your watch tells you that, for instance, it's misread, because the accuracy of sleep, let's look at sleep to start off with. The accuracy of sleep can be affected by like it really does rely on movement a lot of times. So if you share a bed with someone else, lucky you, but if you're sharing a bed with someone else, it can pick up their movement and again think that you're awake at times. I'll tell you something. I had one of my devices. I took it off because I was just like, I had an alarm on it that vibrates, and I'm like, I'm just can't be arsed to get my phone to change that. I'm just going to take the device off, and I put it up on the shelf. Don't know. Apparently, the shelf had 4.5 hours of deep quality sleep, so I don't know where it was picking that up from, but it read that as something. So either there's a ghost up there or whatever. But again, it's reading data from something that didn't exist, which probably tells you a lot about it. But I think when it comes to like that, the accuracies, if you're reading that and it's like somebody else is moving in your bed and you've actually slept well, like it can pick it up as you've had a shit night's sleep, which then can make you feel, I need to get another better night's sleep. I need to
Yeah.
like do this. I need to do that. A lot of the time, like when it comes to even alcohol, like if you're taking alcohol, like it can pick up the fact that you've had an absolutely horrendous night's sleep. Now, whilst alcohol doesn't help your sleep, what alcohol does as well is it kind of it can increase your body's temperature, which has more of a negative impact in terms of what reads as sleep. Not necessarily that you've had that awful of a sleep, it's just because again your temperature is up a little bit. For to clear all context on this, so alcohol is honking for a night's sleep. The studies
Yes.
on that are clear. I think you lose like 33% of your sleep quality per unit you've got in your blood when you're sleeping. So yeah, like just
That's
take
big
it.
numbers.
There is, I think they said like, so if you imagine a pint has 2.5 to 2.8 units in it, I think most of the time, like if you have a pint within, let's say, an hour, 2 hours of sleeping, like let's say it's 2 hours of sleeping, just to be clear on this, you've still probably got a unit left in your system as you're going to sleep. Like that's taking 33% of your sleep quality away.
Um,
Who just drinks one pint? Like if you're if you've been, let's say you started drinking at 5 o'clock on a Saturday and you've had 4 pints, you're talking 10, 12 units in you. Like you're going to have go to sleep and you've probably got 5 or 6 units in your bloodstream. Like you're talking, your sleep quality is going to be at like 10%. Like that's why you feel awful after drinking.
all right. What about these nuggets that fucking drink espresso martinis at night? They're
Man,
fucked.
I've I remember being on holiday with a boy who's like, oh, I can't drink Red Bull, vodka Red Bull too close to go to my bed. I'll room me now. I was too young to the time. I was like, oh, what a gimp. But you know what? See now, I still think about that boy to this day, and I'm going, do you know what? He had the right idea because past the age of 25, mate, I go nowhere near it. Like that gives me the
Aye.
absolute fear. Like
We're at fucking 1, 2 in the morning in campus slamming Jaeger bombs, wondering why we can't sleep for 4 days.
Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, it's awful. Like, I used to, I genuinely did used to wonder why I had awful night sleeps. Like, I would wake up at 3 in the morning, and not be able to get back to sleep, and I was like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the type of alcohol I drank. It's nothing. The amount of fucking caffeine in the alcohol I drank at that time. So,
Aye, 100%.
um,
But listen, bringing it back to the wearables and stuff like that. Do you want to kind of summarize what we've spoken about so far? Because we have kind of took a few left turns, and it means like if we want to come back to this, which I think would be a good idea once we do a wee bit more research into it, we know roughly what we've already spoke about and what we want to kind of speak a wee bit more about. Um, would
yeah,
you say they are? No, let me not ask you a question. Let's just summarize it. So, four step count, fairly accurate, not entirely accurate. Definitely take it with a pinch of salt. If you can calibrate it in some way, shape, or form, then it will be a wee bit more accurate. Do you agree?
I agree. The only tip I would have with pretty much most of the things that we're looking at is don't look at data in isolation. Look at
Hmm.
trends over time. So if you try to set up a new habit, it's whilst the numbers might not be completely accurate, I would more so look at what that actually looks like in terms of your weekly trend, your monthly trend, and what that actually looks like, and try and build on it from there. Because most of your habits will probably be similar. If you're normally pushing a buggy, you'll normally push a buggy, so it'll kind of balance itself out. But yeah, if you're looking at it in isolation, it's probably not going to be great. So look at trends over time is probably what I'd add to that.
100%. Sleeping. It can. Most are fairly accurate at tracking the duration of your sleep, but your sleep stages, light sleep, deep sleep, REM, pretty inaccurate. They are just estimates. Sleep can also be confused for lying still in bed. If you're lying still in bed and you're maybe watching the TV or something, or listening to chill music, whatever a podcast, that can actually confuse you lying still for sleep as well. So, whilst it is fairly accurate with its estimate, don't take it for what it says. Go more so based on how you're feeling. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was just going to add to that, the only way to accurately monitor your sleep with any sort of accuracy, well, it's not any sort of accuracy, that's wrong to say, but to get to the point where you are getting like the deep REM cycles of sleep, you need to actually do some brain scanning whilst you're sleeping, and you're not going to get that with any wearable. So, whilst it does give you data, I would take the data with a pinch of salt and not be reliant on it. Again, what I said with steps, you want to look at trends over time rather than in isolation and not get too addicted to the data. But what it can do, and what it is really good at doing, is identifying when you go to bed and when you wake up. They are the two things that you could probably take and go, right, that gives us good data as to what we need to look at long term. Just to add very briefly to that, it's the same thing, because this is a question I get asked a lot about how accurate like body fat monitors are, like what they get in
Mm.
the gym and stuff. They're not, to be honest, like they're not accurate, and I'd even go as far to say is they're not accurate in the slightest. They can be up to, I believe it's like 6% out, even in the most expensive ones. To really, so what that does is you hold on to it, it sends a slight vibration through your body that's meant to pick up on the density of muscle, fat, water. But the problem with that is it doesn't, your hydration status, your stress levels, your inflammation, that can all be different factors. To really get a proper body fat done, you need to kind of submerge yourself in water, and that you'll need to do that in a science lab, and it'll probably cost you thousands. So, again, like anything, if you are doing body fat monitoring, I would take the number with an absolute pinch of salt. I would even go as far to say as like you probably would need to do it fairly consistently, like weighing yourself to actually get any form of trend on it. Because if you do it once a month, like it can be so affected by you going hungover, you've got less there. It might say you've lost body fat, but actually it's not the case. Anyway, tangent over.
Just the most accurate way to track body fat is an autopsy. The most accurate way. So take exactly what Kyle says there. I would say maybe next would be like a DEXA scan. I've never had a DEXA scan myself. But not just one DEXA scan, it would need to be, multiple DEXA scans over time.
Do you ever
Um,
see? Do you ever see Jamie Alderton's YouTube video on the DEX scan?
no, I never did, no.
Man, he went in and he was peeled. I think it was just after doing a bodybuilding show, and I think I mean, you look at him and he's probably like, man, he was lean. I'd say he's in single digit body fat. I'd say 7-8%. the thing said he was like 19, and like even he and the guy doing it was like, yeah, that's not, and that's a DEXA scan. So his point was like, this is the most expensive
Yeah.
version, and it's telling him he's 19% body fat. So pinch of salt, really.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Monitor heart rate monitoring, pretty accurate when you're, just chilling, especially if you're wearing it on your wrist. If you're doing some sort of intense exercise, then it's probably not going to be accurate because of the increase in movement, sorry.
Agreed. Just to add to that very briefly, I know we need to wrap up very
Hmm.
shortly, but what is actually a benefit of having it is, I believe Apple Watches do this now in the more expensive models. I don't think my model has it, so I possibly could still die, but I think it's very good, or say very good. It's fairly accurate at detecting electricals in the heart now, where it can actually detect if you're going to take a heart attack or whatever. I think it has actually got a fair bit of science behind that. So I've not delved too deep into that. That's probably a topic for another day. But I do think that if we're talking about the pros and the cons, I think it's potentially a pro, the fact that like if you have any heart concerns, then it possibly might not be a bad thing, providing you look into the right model that actually caters for that. It does have the EMG in it that can help, and I think you can program it to call a medical, like the emergency line, on your behalf and send location if something like that was to happen to you. So if you do have concerns, then that's maybe not the worst idea to look into.
Yeah, 100%. Gamify it if and when you can. Don't go with the same targets, the same goals. Try and change them up a wee bit, make it exciting, keep yourself switched on, and don't over rely too much on the data as well because it can increase stress, it can increase anxiety if you maybe don't hit all your targets or you maybe take everything that it says as gospel.
Yeah, all I would add to that on pretty much everything you said is probably look at how you feel is probably when it comes to like you're talking about like sleep and everything else, how you feel is probably going to be slightly more accurate than any device. I don't think we're ever at the point, well, we're not at the point yet where we can let devices dictate how we feel. So I think your feeling's going to be most important. So trust how you subjectively feel. Focus on trends again. It's important to look at that rather than isolation. And then I would probably only look at data at specific times rather than become obsessed with it. To
Yeah,
give you perspective in that, since Finn's been born, I genuinely don't look at my sleep on the day. If I'm feeling rotten, I don't wake up and look at my sleep. I'll be like, I might look at it the next day to see what it was like. But I'm like, am I fuck? If I feel pretty bad at the moment, I'm not opening up my device and it telling me I've had fucking 2 hours sleep because I'm not
yeah.
feel worse. I'm going to kid on in my head. I might have had 6 hours sleep and I just feel a wee bit run down instead of like it telling me I've had 3.
100%, completely agree. Anything else that you want to add on to that before we wrap this one up? We'll definitely revisit this because I think it's a very good and a very interesting topic. There's so much more to talk about, but I know we need to wrap it up just now.
No, there's nothing else I'd like to add at the moment. But again, like anything, it is probably a subject we're going to revisit. You guys, obviously, we're building a bit more of an audience at the moment, so there's more and more listeners each week. We'd be always keen and genuinely mean it. We do hear from a few of you quite frequently, but if there's anything you want to add or even your experiences, it always helps.
Also, if you've got any kind of counter argument to any points that we make, come at us. We love a chat. We love to hear other points of view. So please don't hesitate to send us a wee message as well.
Send them to Gary. He loves an argument.
Come on. Not right. We'll wrap this one up there, Kyle. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Oh, mate, wait to hear this.
Come
Kyle
on.
underscore biofitness. Done. Done.
Come on.
Not Kyle underscore biofitness one. Kyle underscore biofitness. Done. Done, mate.
Fucking yes. Mate,
Where
what's
can they
going to
find
happen to like episode 5, 6, and 7 when it's Kyle Biofitness 88? Is that going to still get linked to your Instagram?
Ah, mate, that was a preview. I'm like Rangers, mate. I've kept the assets, but I'm a new name. Well, actually, to be fair, I've kept the name. Anyway, Gary, where can they find you?
At GMAC_health and fitness on Instagram. Thank you, Dave and Toby, as always, for the music, and we will see you all in the next one.
See you in the next one, troops.